On the air everywhere, this is New England Broadcasting.
Welcome to the Ron Van Dam Show. Hold on tight. Things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
This is a very special interview program.
Whatever.
All right, fine. Welcome to the program. As you know, on every show, it's me complaining about stuff in a sarcastic, demeaning manner. And also celebrating the joys of life, but basically looking out for the pitfalls. At the end of most shows, I do an interview with a celebrity, a doctor, a knowledgeable professional in some field to give us information and to learn about things. It's my duty, and that way, at least I contributed something to society. Today's program is all interviews. It's all information. Many of you have stated that you like the interviews, and thank you very much. It's probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me. So today, that's what we're doing. We have a plethora of interviews. So sit back and enjoy. They're just like one after the other, just in rapid succession. So get something to eat, have a drink, relax. Here we go.
Good morning.
Hello, Doctor. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Dr. Danesh Alam joins us now. He is a health system clinician of psychiatry and behavioral sciences, Feinberg School of Medicine at Northwestern. Thanks for being with us. We're talking about the opioid crisis, so much in discussion these days. All of a sudden, why is it all of a sudden that we're talking about this so much?
Well, it really has become a crisis in our nation. You know, last year we lost over 70,000 individuals. We continue to lose over 200 individuals every day, and most of these individuals are between the age of 18 and 55.
Mm-hmm. Now, opioids are commonly prescribed. Is that correct?
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. And the problem is that when you're on them for an extended period of time, or sometimes even not, then a dependency develops.
That's right. Individuals start to demonstrate dependency within a few weeks of starting the medication.
Yeah. So, I mean, some people may think who may not be familiar with the opioid addiction is something like a heroin thing or a cocaine thing or whatever the case may be, or smoking, but it's frequently not the fault of the victim, so to speak.
That's correct. I think that a number of these folks are actually receiving prescribed medication and begin to demonstrate dependence behavior.
Yeah. Now, do a lot of people go into some type of therapy? Does that seem to be successful?
So it depends on how they got to be on the medications to begin with. And I think, one of the components that drives this kind of dependence behavior is a fear of withdrawal. The opioid withdrawal syndrome, which is a recognized medical condition, is brings fear to individuals because they just cannot imagine going through it because the experience is terrible.
Is there nothing else that kills pain to that extent that is something that is not so addictive?
Well, I think, you're asking a very complicated question about how to manage chronic pain.
Right.
And if the only option is to use a pain medication and get hooked on it, and what are the options? I think the data on non-medication pain management has gotten a lot better. I think that as a country we need to start to get used to looking at that.
Yeah.
But going back to really the addictive behavior, it's partially driven by the fear of withdrawal, and I think the FDA has approved the first non-opioid medication to help with abrupt discontinuation. So if if individuals can stop the pain medication using, the new drug called Lucimera, obviously, we recommend doing this under the care of a physician.
Right.
Like all medications, there are some side effects such as low blood pressure, dizziness, that sort of thing. But this is a medication that will actually help all physicians, including primary care docs, help individuals get off of opiates abruptly. And I think that's it's going to be the way we do it. Right now we have to use some opioid options to transition patients from other opioids.
And so every painkiller that is effective in extreme pain would be an opioid.
Not every painkiller. So that there are obviously the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications that are non-opioids, but the strong pain medication, the controlled medications that are often prescribed to manage pain, those have addictive potential. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now there is possibly a way to stop that. Is that under the? Of course, it's under the advisement of prescription of a doctor. Is it something that has to be done in a clinical sense or physically in a clinic, or is this something that you would take at home?
So this is what's exciting about this medication. It has been available in Europe for over 20 years, and the way it's practiced in Europe is patients get a prescription and go home with it.
Yeah. Doctor, just between you and me, why is it always Europe that's been doing this stuff for a while successfully, and then we just talk about it like decades later? What happens with it? All right, you don't have to answer that, by the way. Okay. All right, you're not going to answer. Okay. All right. So, obviously, conversation with your doctor is important under these circumstances anyway. It's a horrible problem. I'm wondering psychologically when a person realizes that the opioid medication that they have been taking has become addictive, at what point is that realization on the table? Well,
the evidence is that right from the time you use the first pill, the brain starts to demonstrate changes in the neural networks that, and so that's the concern. I mean, so we know that these medications increase the risk of this kind of dependence behavior.
Wow. So it's almost like a lesser of two evils. Are you going to sit there with the pain, or are you going to take your chances with the being dependent on it? I guess that's the bottom line.
I'm a believer of non-opioid pain management, so I think that it's a harder path to take.
Right.
But short-term use of opioids and using these medications to get off of them is a critical way of managing them.
Well, I'm glad that's come along. How do we get more information about this?
Obviously, patients should talk to their physician or go to lucimera.com for more information.
Could you spell that for me, please?
It's LUCEMYRA.
Very good. Well, thanks for bringing us that information. That's really valuable stuff, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Sophie. How are you today?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm not doing so bad so far.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Sophie Keller is a best-selling author and a well-being expert, and she's connected to the Bank of America as an ambassador, and we'll find out why in just a second. You're known for well-being, and I know that there are a lot of stresses in life. One of the biggest stresses is incredibly large, huge purchases. Makes anybody nervous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that we were referring to, of course, home buying, which is there's so much to coordinate, so much stress. You're moving your life from one place to another. You don't know if it's going to work out. You don't know if you have enough money to handle it. It's I'm getting stressed just talking about it, to be honest.
I'm feeling stressed as well, Ron, as you speak about it.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't speak so stressfully, but it is a fact, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, for myself and my husband and I, this idea of originally going into the bank, setting up a meeting, waiting to see if you're approved, that has always felt very stressful to us. And that's probably why, in the past, we haven't got a mortgage. The great thing is, though, that Bank of America has really changed the game in terms of the home buying process, because they've got this new app, which is called the Digital Mortgage Experience. And what it is that you can fill out these 10 fields online on the app, and you don't have to go into the bank at the beginning. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it in your own time. And it's really taken the stress out of getting a mortgage. And for me, personally, that has really made me rethink, okay, well, actually, I can fit this into my day. I am a mum, I do work full-time, and I'm doing my doctorate. So if I can fit it into my day, anyone can really fit it into their day.
Well, of course. I mean, anybody can fit anything into their day. It's, I mean, if they really... It's priorities.
Want to.
But,
it's about priorities.
Yeah. But, I mean, I often talk about how technology is incredibly destructive and has social media has destroyed our life, etc. But at the same time, there are benefits to technology, and this is one of them. When you become familiar with something that you know little or nothing about that stresses you, then it's not so bad anymore once you kind of have a grasp as to what to expect and what's involved, and that does give you that edge.
Well, I think you're right about what you say about, technology. I think there's positives and negatives, exactly what you said. I mean, I have a 9-year-old who's playing Fortnite at the moment. So, I have to limit that, and as parents, there's, are they connecting with the other kids they're playing with, or are they not? That's an open question at the moment. But then there's technology, which certain apps that really do help us. And this is one of them. The digital mortgage experience is one of them. I have others where, for example, when I can order my shopping online, or I can get a cab easily, or I can get a babysitter. So some apps are really great and really do enhance our lives and gives us time for other more important things. And others, as you said, other times technology can really pull us away. Absolutely, Ron.
Well, that's what a smart person is. That's the definition of a smart person. I know the difference between things that are good and things that are bad. It's pretty much it.
Absolutely.
No, this is a great tool. I guess we'll call it a tool, actually, to achieve what you want to achieve with intelligence and experience, and that's the way to do it.
And also the other thing that I like about this particular product, and for me, it touches where I am at the moment, at my point in my life in terms of buying a home and wanting to buy one, is that, the ease of it. I also wanted to say that it's not just for Bank of America clients, it's also for people who aren't at Bank of America at the moment. So it really is for everyone, and whether you're a renter already, whether you're a millennial, whether you're a first-time buyer, it's really a great product. And for me, I've been renting for way too long and kind of regret not buying years ago. We really, especially as we live in Los Angeles, and the prices are so high at the moment, Ron,
I know.
that, we just wish we'd bought 8 years ago, to be honest. But now, at least the process is much easier, and this has really made me think twice and go, okay, let's do it. Let's get something because I can fit it into my day.
Well, these are the unknowns. Most people rent at first anyway, and when they rent, it's because you need a considerable amount for a down payment, and You know, that kind of, but you don't know how much. It depends on the house. It depends on where. It depends on the bank. I mean, so this gives you this answers those questions. It gives you an idea as to what you really do need and what you really do have to do, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because it gives you time to do it. You don't have to do it all on the same day. I mean, you could, Ron. You can do it on the same day, and you can get approved on the same day, which is amazing. So you could set aside a day and do that. Or, which is great for someone, you know, again, the Los Angeles market or New York, wherever, where there's lots of people who want to buy the same house, that you can do it pretty quickly. Or you can do it in your own time and, you know, just have it as another part of your life, basically, which is probably what I would do. Yeah,
well, good luck to you on that front, and apparently you've got the tools to do this. So, but we all do, which is nice.
Exactly, we all do, which is nice. Yeah.
So, where do we go for this information?
So we go to bankofamerica.com and we click on the digital mortgage experience. Oh,
sounds like a movie. Sounds like a movie
theater.
It really
does, yeah, exactly. That's
Saturday night, I think I'll go to the digital mortgage experience. And
that's funny, Ron.
Enjoy it as well, you know.
Exactly.
Maybe Bank of America should do that. Maybe they should do like a whole pavilion and you go to the mortgage experience. Okay, never mind. I'm getting out of hand. I apologize. Okay, so that's where we go. One more time because I interrupted you. One more time, the website.
So bankofamerica.com, and then you look for digital mortgage experience, and you'll find it right there.
Thank you. Well, thanks
for get going.
Thanks for this experience, Sophie. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Ron. It's a pleasure speaking to you.
Take care now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, is this Melissa?
It is.
Okay.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Melissa Berg joins us. She's a stroke survivor, and she actually suffered an acute stroke, and we'll talk to her about that. Could you introduce who you have with you, including, is your son there with you?
He is. My son, Tony Palamadesi, is on my right, and Dr. Jennifer Rasmussen is on my left.
Fantastic. Okay, we're talking about awareness, actually, to identify the signs of stroke and to know when to take action and what to look for. Melissa, tell me your story first, though, if you would.
I was out I had just recently moved to Texas after driving 2,000 miles, and I was out with my son looking at property because I was interested in buying a house, and I just felt off. That's the best way of being able to explain it.
Okay.
Yeah,
go on.
And anyway, my son eventually figured out I was not talking and pulled over and said, "Wow, Mom, say Samantha's my daughter," and I couldn't speak, and they rushed me to the hospital.
Oh, wow. Had you ever had any signs of that previous to that incident?
No.
Ooh.
No.
Ooh, that's the scary part.
None at all. No. When I say I felt off, it just there's nothing that you can really pinpoint. And as we were talking last night, I would have, if I had been home, thank God I was out traveling around with my son. If I had been home, I would have said, I'm going to go lay down and take a nap.
Wow. Now, Tony, what did you do when you discerned that there's something radically wrong here?
Well, first I got irritated because my mom, no one knows this, so she is usually never quiet. So when she actually was quiet, I was like, something's going on. So just kind of kept trying to engage her and thought maybe she was emotional from the move. So, I mean, it's kind of the deck of cards was stacked against us with just the situation that had just occurred.
Yes.
But once I realized that something was wrong, we just instinct was to go to the closest hospital, which happened to just be 5 minutes away, luckily. So instead of calling an ambulance, I just popped it in gear and drove as quick as I could.
Excellent. Now, not having any prior incident of that, Tony, were you able to say she's having a stroke, or you still didn't know what was going on?
I honestly had no idea. I actually wanted to fight the fact that something was going on. I wanted to believe that she was fine. So I had no idea. And then my girlfriend happened to be with me at the time, and when she saw and got back in the car, she just was like, she's having a stroke. And then it all clicked. I'm like, oh, man, okay, call the hospital. Let's see what we got to do. So.
Wow. Melissa, I can't imagine what would have happened had you been alone in the car driving.
That's one of the things that we talk about all the time, that, there's a reason that I moved to Texas when I moved.
Yeah.
If I had been at home, I would have been by myself. If I had felt off, I would have gone and taken a nap.
Yeah.
Or it was a Sunday afternoon, and I used to go golfing with girlfriends. I could have been in the car driving or on the golf course, and, God only knows what would have happened or what my results would have been. So, right place, right time with my right child.
Now, doctor, this happens. Obviously, this is not an isolated incident, 1 out of 2 zillion people. This can happen to anybody at any time. Is that right?
That's correct. The classic idea of stroke, that it has to be your grandmother or grandfather that's 80 years old, is really fading away. Stroke can happen at any age, and sometimes it happens to people that you don't think are at risk for it. So it's really important not only for recognizing stroke in your loved ones, but recognizing it in yourself as well, to understand the signs and symptoms of stroke.
Whoa. Melissa, curious, were you on any Lipitor or any kind of, anything that was, some cardio?
Prior to, no. And that's something else. I was diagnosed with high cholesterol.
Uh-huh.
I chose to try and reduce my cholesterol level by going on a really strict diet, and I did.
Yeah.
I reduced it by 60 points,
wow.
But I did not reduce my bad cholesterol. The doctor wanted to put me on medication, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be on medication.
Okay.
So, one of my huge things is, I tell my friends all the time, I don't care how great a health that you're in and how active you are. If the doctor says, go on Lipitor, go on Lipitor. Don't be silly like I was, you know. There's a reason that they developed the drug, so...
Yes, and doctor, I guess this is like the major message of all is get an annual checkup so you can find out if this is the case. And secondly, don't be scared of taking medication. I mean, but people they feel that if they take medication, then they're admitting something's wrong with them. It's a psychological problem.
I couldn't agree more. And the medication is there to help prevent strokes and heart attacks from happening, because high cholesterol, high blood pressure, they're silent diseases. You don't have symptoms of them.
That's so true.
And that's why it's really important to try to prevent stroke and heart attack.
Wow. Okay. Tell me where you're at now, Melissa, as far as everything's concerned.
As far as, like, my health? I'm probably the healthiest I've ever been. Due to the stroke, after having been in the hospital, I ended up dropping a few pounds. I am more active. I take my dog for a walk every day. I go to the gym 3 and 4 times a week. I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying living close by my older son, who's been living here for 5 years.
Great.
I have to say I'm probably way more active than I was.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe because I was active before.
And apparently, you, according to your son, you talked a lot too. So this is good. Okay.
Yes. No, I'm known as Chatty Cathy amongst a lot of my close friends.
I like the way you got the dig in there. Anyway.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so let's. This can happen to anybody, anytime. What are the warning signs, doctor? I know they're not specifically for everybody. Signs can vary in different people, but what should we be looking out for that something may be in the future here?
Right, so it's a sudden onset of symptoms, and it can be a sudden onset of confusion, it can be a sudden onset of weakness, vision loss, dizziness. You can get a list of the signs on www.signsofstroke.org and know more about how to look for stroke and recognize it in your loved ones.
Okay, and if you do have a concern, don't feel like you're alone and why did this happen to me, because this is so common, it's really not funny.
And we would rather that you call 911 or call the hospital and come in and let us figure out that it's not a stroke than you think it's not a stroke and miss an opportunity to be treated.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, great information. One more time, it's signsofstroke.org. And just go there and pick up that information. And darn it, visit your doctor on an annual basis and get blood tests and stuff, no matter what age you are, because you're silly if you don't. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm glad everything's going well. Melissa, Tony, and Doctor, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Ron.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Anna Colton joins us. She's Northeast Division Executive, Merrill Edge. And we're talking about the future of finance that, well, I guess when you think of that, it seems to be a male-dominated field, but not necessarily. Is that true?
Not necessarily. That is very true, Ron. So Merrill Edge just released our biannual report, and we learned that women have more financial power than they've ever had before. 75% of the women that we interviewed indicated that they have more financial power than they've ever had in the past 20 years.
Good.
And 55% indicated that they are the primary financial decision maker in their household.
That makes sense to me, to be honest with you. And, they probably always were to some extent, but nobody admitted it or talked about it.
Well, it's interesting. Women indicated that they're very comfortable and confident when it comes to making some financial decisions. So buying a home, they trust their instincts around that, buying a car, how we raise our children, a lot of instincts there. But when it comes to investing, they actually have less confidence than men do and are less likely to trust their instincts. So the fact that they have more financial power is actually an exciting new trend.
Is it smart in finance not to just trust your instincts, but to do research, to think about it that much more? Is that why they are successful?
Yeah, Ron, that is the silver lining to all of this, because women are taking advantage of the professional advice that's out there. They're building relationships with advisors, so professional expertise is very important. They are also taking advantage of online research, educating themselves about the options. They are taking the time to build a plan. And that's all really exciting. And to your point, those are smart decisions and a smart way, a smart approach to building a financial strategy.
Are there different strategies that women tend to consider than men?
So both men and women look for return. Right, sure. Profitability is paramount, right? So that's the same for both. But from there, women are more likely to support companies that have positive impact socially. Yep. So 90% of the women that we talked to indicated that issues around pay equity, issues in companies that support diversity, companies that support environmental diversity and sustainability, that those are the companies that they are also considering investing in once we get to the profitability. So bottom line is still bottom line, but social impact is also very important.
But that is such an important message to companies, the big players especially, where if you don't become socially acceptable to most of your investors, which could be women at this point, then you are not going to get the investors that you're seeking until you line up with what the investors want and consider to be prerequisites.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that because women are helping to change the world, right, by making these decisions. And to your point, if companies aren't making having that kind of social impact, they're missing out on a very important segment of the population who may be considering investing in them. Excellent.
Good. Well, that's good news as far as I'm concerned. Now, so what would one do if they wanted to take a look at investing, male or female, but especially female, I guess?
Yes, so for new investors, I always advise that they build a relationship with a professional expert, an advisor. And there are advisors across the industry that you can build a relationship with. Secondly, have a plan, right? Build a plan out for yourself, a life plan about all of those life priorities that you have, as well as those potential life events that are going to come up that you need to invest in and save for. And then thirdly, educate yourself. Research, go online and take advantage of the deep research that's available for you. There's technology that helps you keep on track and stay on track with your plan. So all of those together, a relationship with a professional, a plan that charts out what you're saving for and what your priorities are, and then taking advantage of the deep research and the technology that's out there to help you stay on track.
That's a good point. Anna, how does one discern whether that relationship with a financial advisor is a healthy one or not? I know that when you have a medical condition, you're seeking out the best that you can, and you do a little research as to see what their credentials are. How do you do that with a financial advisor?
Yeah, Rod, I really like the analogy that you use there. You take the time on your physical health. You should do the same on your financial welfare as well. Trust is really important. Yes. And so taking the time to take control, ask questions, be informed, make sure that you know what you're buying and that it feels right for you going forward. So that taking the time to build that trust is really important.
Very good. And it is a good time to invest, but to invest intelligently, because things aren't always good. Sometimes they get bad. So you got to find that balance and that person that can bring you through that. Where do we go for more information?
So merrilledge.com, that's MERRILLEDGE.com /report. The full report will be there, as well as additional insights and research that you can do to help you build that plan and start investing.
Great. Anna Colton, you've been very informative today, and we do appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate your time.
Take care. Good talking to you.
Likewise.
Bye-bye. Kevin Goggish joins us now, and we're talking about, by the way, Varsity Tutors is the organization that it's kind of interesting. It's a concept that makes a lot of sense. As kids are going back to school these days, a lot of them might wish or require some type of extra help tutor-wise, and this is a way of matching your child to the best tutor for your child. So it's a cool concept. When did you come up with this?
Hey, Ron. Yeah, Varsity Tutors has been in existence for about 10 years now, but it's really the last 3 to 4 years that we've started to innovate around our live learning platform that allows students anywhere in the country to connect with the best expert, the best tutor anywhere in the country using technology.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it makes sense because they do that with finding hotel rooms and finding employment. Why not this area? And it's pretty good. I'm glad that the general public is getting familiar with this possibility. Are there a few subjects available or a multitude?
Sure. Today on our live learning platform, we have 40,000 experts, and we provide tutoring in literally hundreds and hundreds of subjects. One of our most recent innovations is what's called instant tutoring. So instead of the scheduled tutoring that may happen once or twice a week at a predetermined time, you can now access a tutor within literally minutes in 216 subjects. All of the high school, all of the middle school subjects, you can access a tutor in under 3 minutes.
That's incredible. Certainly when I was growing up, not the case. So this is quite different. Now, let me ask you, how is this actually done? How is this actually executed Does someone come to one's home? Is it done online? How does it work?
Yeah, great question, Ron. So basically the process starts with usually the parent in conjunction with the student, identifying the need and talking to one of our educational experts. And then we identify what we think is the best program for them. So it might be, 18 hours of tutoring over the course of the semester, an hour and a half a week. But the package of tutoring, the hours that are purchased are interchangeable. So you might think you need help in algebra, but find out you might need more help in Spanish or an occasional help in history. And you can exchange it across members of the family. So if you have multiple children, multiple students, they can use the hours interchangeably. Or as a parent, maybe you want to brush up on something that you forgot from your long-lost days of high school.
Now, again, is this online or is it at a location?
Yeah, primarily online, especially the instant platform. If you think about instant, and what that does is it provides additional tools. We can pull in our learning tools, the chat, the whiteboard, and session recording. And if you think about that, that's another great concept that you might have a session that later on in the semester you want to go back to and say, I remember learning from my tutor this concept. Let me go see it again. And you can access that video from a week, a month, 2 months ago.
What if you're like a former teacher who is who's just retired? Is there a way for them to get involved?
Sure. Our marketplace needs both the learners, the students, and the experts. And so many of our experts are either teachers currently that are doing this as sort of a supplemental income, or, as you said, retired teachers. So you can find out how to access the marketplace from an expert standpoint at varsitytutors.com, and it's a really pretty straightforward application process.
So you're like a love connection.
Exactly, for learning.
For love, of course, for learning. Absolutely. Wow, it's a great concept. I'm very impressed by the range of subject matters. I would have assumed before talking to you that it's arithmetic. I guess I don't even call it arithmetic anymore. I guess it's math. That shows you how old I am. Math or history or geometry or algebra or something. But this involves the creative arts as well, music appreciation, various cultural things. It's just very interesting.
You're right, Ron. I mean, I'm amazed. I have two daughters. Well, one daughter in high school, one going on to college, and the variety of subjects in high schools today is so different than when I went or you went to high school years ago. Just that diversity, and of course, even if we did know that subject matter, we probably as parents forgotten how to teach it or how to explain it. So it's just great to have this resource to help parents help their children. They want what's best for their children. To feel confident in school, and obviously, hopefully, continue to progress onto careers. So.
I'll tell you something, Kevin. A lot of schools don't even get into those subject matters for financial reasons, and a parent might say, I want my child to be more cultured. I want my child to have an appreciation for classical music, etc. And so this can even go beyond what they teach in school if a parent wants their child to be exposed to something like this.
Exactly. We have children as young as 4 or 5 using the platform maybe to learn a language, a language that their parents feel is important for them to learn that, again, is not available in the school system.
Congratulations. Good deal. Nice. This is where education really should be. It should be. I like this. I like this a lot. So how do we get more information?
So the best way to find out more about us, Ron, is to visit our website, varsitytutors.com. That's Varsity Tutors, TUTORS.com.
Perfect. Hey, thanks a lot, Kevin. Perfect. Good speaking to you.
Thank you, Ron. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thea Mason is Director and Head of Deposit Products at Penn Fed Credit Union. And we're talking about savings, which at times I wonder whether I can actually do that anymore. When I was a younger person, we had savings accounts and we were making some pretty good interest. And but things are starting to come back, I understand. So maybe now some of us can feel like we can save some money again.
That's right, Ron. In fact, thanks to the Federal Reserve raising interest rates recently, interest rates on savings and certificates have gone up quite a bit in the last year, and many institutions like PenFed have very attractive rates.
That's a good thing. It's because otherwise it was not good, but it is now. But can you save money at any age? Do you have to be young in order to accumulate?
You know, Ron, I think it's important to save at every stage of life, whether you're young and you just graduated college, whether you're looking to buy a house, whether you're looking to save money to send your own child to college, or you're preparing for retirement. Savings is important.
Okay, now take me through the steps. What would I do if I wanted to start saving? How would I set that up?
Well, Ron, I think the first step is to set a realistic goal for your savings target given your current financial position. And then to be successful, I think it's important to make savings part of your monthly budget. You know, at PenFed, we recently conducted a survey, and we were shocked to find that the majority of Americans, 62%, have less than $5,000 in savings. But it's really never too late to start saving.
So treat savings as if it's a separate invoice like you would get from your cable company or whatever the case may be. It's something that you pay yourself every month.
Exactly. And, you know, pay yourself first.
Well, okay. I don't know if the cable company would be too thrilled with that, but I like that concept. All right. Most of us know what a certificate of deposit is. It's called a CD, different than the CDs that I am used to. But how is that beneficial? That's a type of savings, right?
Right. A certificate is just like a CD. At PenFed, we call them certificates because we're a credit union, and that means we're a member-owned organization. So we give back all our returns to our members, which is why we're able to offer really great rates. But a certificate works just like a CD in that you deposit money into an account, but because you commit to keep it there for a set term, you earn a higher rate than you would on a typical savings account.
Yes, sometimes much higher.
Yes.
And they vary in length. Is it the longer that the terms are, the higher the percentage, or vice versa? I know there's a lot of introductory offers to get people into the credit unions and to start saving, and some of those introductory short-term things are quite impressive.
Yes, absolutely. Generally speaking, certificates come in a variety of terms. At PenFed, our shortest term is 6 months, and they go from 6 months to 7 years. Generally speaking, longer-term certificates have higher rates than shorter-term, but right now at PenFed, our 6-month certificate is a great option at 2% annual percentage yield. It was recently rated a top 6-month certificate rate by MagnifyMoney.com.
I can't think of anybody that can't just chill it for 6 months and sit there and watch your money grow. I mean, well, that sounds like a fine activity to me.
Absolutely. I think starting with a 6-month term is a great way to go. If you're uncertain about setting money aside, you could put your money in the 6-month term, and then as you get more comfortable, you can then go out and invest in longer-term certificates.
Okay. Now, it says here that there's something called a laddering strategy. What is that?
A certificate ladder is a strategy that balances having easy access to your money and getting the benefit of earning higher rates with longer-term certificates. So what you would do is you would invest in multiple certificates at the same time, say a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year term, and then as the first certificate matures, you can use the money or invest it in another long-term certificate.
Oh, okay.
So in this way, you're kind of maximizing your overall return on your investment, but you still have access to your funds periodically. And it's a great way to set up your savings if you have some long-term savings goals, like saving for college tuition or for retirement.
I know some people don't understand this. I want to make it clear that when you enter into a certificate of deposit, and if you have to get into it for emergency reasons, you don't lose your money. You would just lose what interest has been accrued. Is that correct?
At most institutions, that's correct. At PenFed, that's certainly correct in that you would only forfeit some of your interest, but we would never actually eat into your principal if you needed to take the money out early. And one of the other things I wanted to say about certificates is they're a really safe way to grow your nest egg because they're federally insured to at least $250,000.
Right. So it's unlike a 401k, which is also a fine thing, I suppose. You're not taking chances. You're just pretty much watching your money grow, and that's again an activity better than bird watching.
Absolutely, it's great to have the peace of mind to know your money is safe and growing and earning interest over time.
Yeah. I kind of like it because sometimes they send you, with some accounts, they send you little statements. I don't know if they do it with certificate deposits anymore. But I used to get the statements on a monthly basis, and I used to look at them and go, whoa, I didn't do anything, and I got more money. It's like I always enjoy that part.
Absolutely. And at PenFed, we're available nationwide, and all your account information is online.
Oh, cool.
So you can go online anytime and see your balances and see how we've added dividends to your account and how your money has grown.
Very, very nice. Well, is there anything else we need to know about this?
One thing I would just recommend to your listeners is that being an informed consumer is the best way to make sure you're getting the most out of your savings. And I would suggest the best place to do that is to go online and also to consider credit unions as member-owned organizations because I think they'd be surprised at the great rates credit unions have. And listeners can find out more about this topic by visiting our website at penfed.org.
Let me just emphasize that because that's really important. If people do search around and look for interest rates, they will find that the credit unions are actually better than the national bank things. You'd be surprised.
That's often the case, so I definitely would encourage them to do that.
More than often, yes. And also, may I suggest, not that I'm an expert, but if you have a youngster, a teenager, something like that, it's a good start for them to appreciate how this thing works. Open a CD for them and let them enjoy the fact that they've made money. This starts a child in the discipline of growing their finances. It's a good way for them to appreciate that at an early age.
Absolutely, because as you know, we started out, establishing that savings discipline is the hardest thing to do. So starting young is a great way to do it.
Great. Hey, you've been a wealth of information today. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me.
Thea, one more time, the website that we can visit to get more information.
penfed.org.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
John Harvey is a CPA, an MBT. What is an MBT, John?
Masters of Business Taxation.
Ooh, okay. Whoa, okay, good. He's written a book, Modern Real Estate Investing. And, we're talking about the tax laws changed recently from that guy in the White House. And I'm every year I need an update as to what I can do, what I can't do, what's allowed, what isn't allowed. It's always a process. But I understand that some of the tax shelters, which some of us need, are still in place.
Yes.
And what you say that there has been a tax reform, but what are we referring to as far as tax shelter is concerned here that's still available to us?
Absolutely. Well, Ron, thank you for having me on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Very happy to be here. We have an entire chapter on the new tax laws in my book, Modern Real Estate Investing.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the biggest thing is that, Chairman Brady and the House Blueprint were envisioning going to a immediate expensing model and doing away with what we call Section 1031 like-kind exchanges for real property. It turned out, fortunately, that they actually did do away with 1031 exchanges for real property, but they kept 1031 exchange for real estate, for real property.
All right, now what is
so this allows, of course, the investor to sell a piece of investment property or property used in the trade or business, and then buy a new property and not have to pay any capital gains or depreciation recapture.
So, in layman's terms, which is everybody else, that means if you sell property and you buy property, then there are no capital gains, no matter what the difference may be. Okay.
Exactly. And as long as you don't cash out or have a reduction in your debt, that's absolutely correct.
Okay. So, all right, when you say cash out, what if you use that cash to lease a place as opposed to buying it? Is that still within the parameters?
No, you have to take title.
You have to purchase. Okay, all right, I got you.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's good. That helps a lot, because a lot of people at one time, I remember when I was younger, that it all had to do with the amount of dollars you sold and the amount of dollars you bought. And if you bought less than what you sold, you had to pay that difference.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly the law as it is now.
Okay. So that is the law as it is now. So it's not just so there is. Well, I'm confused. So in other words, I buy a piece of property. I sell a piece of property. I sell my home. I get another home. It's not necessarily apples to apples, but just the fact that I purchase something else, does that let me off the hook, capital gains wise, or does it have to be dollar for dollar?
Yes, it has to be dollar for dollar. There's actually three rules of thumb. The first one is you have to have a property of equal or greater value. The second item is that you have to use all of your cash. You can't take any cash out of the transaction.
Okay.
So all your cash has to go into the new deal that you're realizing on the sale. And then thirdly, you have to have equal or greater amount of debt. If you satisfy all three of those, then you have a valid exchange for the entire proceeds of the sale.
Was there some consideration for the amount of time that you held the real estate?
No.
Oh, all right.
There is some timing requirements. You have to ID the new properties within 45 days, which is very difficult in most cases.
Yeah, it is.
And then you have to close within 180 days of the sale of your relinquished property.
Okay.
And now, if you're selling your personal residence, then yes, there is a timing thing. If you were, that's a different section of the code.
Right.
If you lived in that property 2 out of the last 5 years, then you can qualify for your principal residence exclusion, which is $250,000 of gain for a single person and $500,000 for married filing jointly. What we're talking about with the 1031, of course, is if you rent that property out. If that was a rental for more than 3 of the last 5 years, or if you have commercial property.
So we're talking more commercial than personal residential, as far as that's
concerned.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. So
rental residential and commercial property.
Okay. So how does that benefit some people? What is the revelation there?
Yes. So in 2004, the IRS came up with a revenue ruling that said that that the 1031 exchange laws would apply to what we basically sell, and that's a Delaware statutory trust, a property held in a Delaware statutory trust. I think most of your listeners are familiar with LLCs and S corps, and maybe even the tenant in common way of taking title. But what's new and exciting in the real estate world, and why we wrote the book, was that you can now hold property in a Delaware statutory trust and qualify for 1031. And what's great about the Delaware Statutory Trust is it allows for co-investors. So we're able to aggregate the investment of many investors and take down properties that are worth $50 to $100 million. And investments are as little as $100,000 for an exchange, or even $25,000 for a direct investment. So we're basically allowing the investor to sell a rental property that maybe the tenant is having a hard time making rent, or is calling in the middle of the night to fix the toilets, all the problems of active management, to trade that kind of a single-family residence into a institutional grade property that's professionally managed. It might be a Class A 500-unit apartment complex with all the bells and whistles, dog parks and business centers and gyms and things like that. Or into a medical office, or maybe into a assisted living or an Alzheimer's center, or maybe into an industrial complex or a mall, all kinds of different institutional grade properties. And because the investments are so low, Ron, just $100,000, if the client has a couple $100,000 from their exchange, or more, they could go into multiple deals and get great diversification over different asset classes and geographic locations.
Okay,
so it's a really exciting new field, the Delaware Statutory Trust.
Okay, so what you're saying is that this opens the possibility of people being able to invest in this type of activity, and construction and remodeling, and that becomes financially feasible now.
Yes, although all of our properties are already what we call established. They're stabilized. They're most of our investors are looking for cash flow from day one.
Sure.
So all of our deals have great track record, and right when the investor goes in, they're starting to enjoy that cash flow. Typically between 5 to 7% cash on cash return is what we're seeing today.
Well, that's better than a bond or a CD, and often the stock market.
Yes.
Yeah, not a bad deal there. All right. How do we get more information about this? Some people will need more clarification, more than we can handle in an interview here.
Yes. Well, firstly, you can go to our website, cornerstonedst.com. And if they go there, that we actually have a bonus for your listeners. They can download a free pamphlet on 1031 exchanges, everything they would need to know about a 1031 exchange. And in addition to that, of course, they can order our book, Modern Real Estate Investing, the Delaware Statutory Trust, which is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.
Very cool. Well, thanks for that information. Most of us didn't know that.
Yes, that's why we wrote the book, is really to introduce this DST concept to the nation.
Excellent. John, good talking to you today.
Thank you for having me on, Ron.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Ron.
How you doing there, Dave?
I'm doing awesome, thank you.
Great. Dave Wilken joins us now. He is an expert in life insurance, and this is a lesson that we have. We're in a classroom, and we're going to learn Life Insurance 101. I'm going to be honest with you, Dave. I have no idea about any of this. I've been approached through my life about it, and I not only is the subject matter usually something that's a little uncomfortable, but I totally really don't understand it. So I'm glad you're here today.
Very good. I'll do my best to help you.
I would have no idea how much life insurance I would need, first of all, when we're talking even that.
Yeah, I think that's a little overwhelming for people, and in the end, it's pretty simple. There are simple calculators out there that can help people self-explore, self-learn, and it centers around the things that you need to replace if, unfortunately, you're gone. So things like your income, paying off your mortgage, funding the tuition for your kids' college, dealing with things associated with your burial. Those are the drivers are really to help you determine what you need. There are also very simple rules of thumb. I use a rule of thumb of 10 times your annual income, and that can go up or down depending on how old you are. So So you can get more involved further if you use a life insurance agent to help you really understand your needs and then the best solutions, that can fulfill them. But in the end, you can do it as simple rule of thumb as well.
Okay. Now, prices go up over that amount of time from my inception of the policy until I actually use it. How do you figure that in?
Yeah, and I think now you're getting into a little bit of the different types of insurance.
Okay.
The most basic type of insurance is term insurance.
Yes.
In term insurance, each year you get older.
Yes.
The cost goes up.
Yes.
You generally buy some level of coverage that is guaranteed for a defined period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So the premiums are level for 10 years, for 20 years, for 30 years. But, clearly as you get older, the cost of life insurance goes up.
Yes. Okay. And so that's term. What is whole life insurance?
Yeah, essentially now you get, other things beyond the basic death benefit coverage of term insurance. So term insurance is like renting an apartment. You have it for a very defined period of time.
Okay.
If you buy 10-year term insurance, at the end of 10 years, if you haven't had a benefit, it goes away.
Okay.
Whole life is what we classify as permanent insurance, and you're really now having it for, lifetime.
Okay.
And so there's some key things that additionally come with it. One is you can build savings inside of the life insurance policy on a tax advantage basis. And so that's one thing. And there are other benefits that can be brought into a permanent life insurance policy, like disability coverage. If I'm disabled, your premiums would be paid for you.
Okay.
If you have a critical illness like a heart attack or have cancer, you can have benefits that come out of the contract, to help you during that time. And then things like long-term care coverage can also be utilized inside of permanent life insurance. And so, the way I describe it is that life insurance is as much for the living while you're living as much as when you pass away and your beneficiaries need help. It really is for life. Life insurance is for life.
All right. Now, what are some misconceptions that most people seem to have?
I think there's a couple key myths that stop people from acting. One is around how much coverage I need, and so we've already covered that. Another one is around cost, and so I think there's one study that estimates that people overestimate the cost of coverage by 3 times, which is a pretty significant misunderstanding. But we do know that value is important, the cost is important. One of the things we've done in our past, 10 years ago, we created a benefit that if someone, takes care of their health, sees the doctor once every 2 years, they can get a discount on the cost of their life insurance going forward. Yeah, if they additionally maintain their weight within a reasonable range over time, they can get an additional discount. And so we call this the Wellness for Life rider, to the life insurance policy. And we did a study that surveyed 1,000 people, and what we found, answered what we already knew, which is, 8 out of 10 people said yes, they would see the doctor regularly if they could get a discount, and 9 out of 10 people said they would focus on maintaining their weight if they could get a discount. And so, in this day and age, wellness is important, and we have a tool that allows people to focus on it and get rewarded with their life insurance costs.
I did not know that.
And so it was a really good study.
I did not know that at all. Okay. Let me ask you something else here. When someone says, like, how much do you make or how much life insurance, you say it's something like that 10 times your salary, is that based on, what your salary is or what your take home is? Because I've always said you don't pay bills off of your salary, you pay bills off of your take home. Which number is usually used? Because there's quite a discrepancy between the two.
Yeah, the rule of thumb that I would use would be based upon your salary. So if you made $50,000 a year and you're a 30-year-old, you should have at least 10 times. Now, that is the beautiful thing about life insurance is that that death benefit that goes to your beneficiaries is tax advantage, so it's tax free.
Yes.
But now you're going to carry that going forward, and you're going to You're not going to pay tax on it, but you're ultimately going to pay tax on some of the earnings you have when you invest that money. So it needs to last a long time, and I think that rule of thumb kind of melds together both, your pre-tax and after-tax, question.
All right. And, of course, the earlier you get life insurance, the better, but yet it's never too late?
It is never too late, and there are forms of life insurance that are just centered around, end-of-life planning for your funeral, cost. That is relatively smaller, $10,000 and relatively simple underwriting that can happen, in your 60s and 70s and maybe even longer. And then when you're younger, most people engage, in their 20s when they're first starting a family on, securing term insurance just for the protection. And then maybe, one of the things that can happen with term insurance is they generally have the right or the opportunity to convert that to a permanent policy at some point in time without going through further underwriting. So you can do a variety of things over life given your life stage and your circumstances.
Gotcha. Oh, the joys of being young and seeing into the future. That would be one. I wish when I was like 20, 25, I set myself up, but you don't think about those things at that age. But you don't, and I think the previous generations, it was a little bit something more that was kind of prescribed by your parents, and today it's more you're on your own, you self-learn, and the one thing that I would also say is just people are generally either not insured, and they should, or they're underinsured. Many employers provide group life insurance, which is great. But that's generally going to be, one-time salary, maybe an opportunity to buy up from there. So it's a nice level of coverage, but it's just not enough. And one thing that's happened over the last 10 years is there's been a 25% reduction in employers, actually providing that access to group life insurance. And so, in the end here, what's important is this is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and there just aren't enough people that are, taking advantage of, securing their life for them and their loved ones. And we're just trying to get the word out that they need insurance or need more insurance than they likely have today. And there is your Life Insurance 101 lesson, ladies and gentlemen. How do I get more information about this?
We created a website that can help people out. It's called Simply Speaking Life Insurance, all one word, .com. So Simply Speaking Life Insurance. And it provides some very simple things in there around what is life insurance, the different forms of life insurance like you and I discussed here today, and a simple calculator around how much do I need. So I think people will find it very helpful. And it's really, not branded. It's just a helpful tool for people.
Right. Dave, by the way, is president of Global Atlantic's Life Group. So there you go. And thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. You have a good day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, Ron.
Hey, Ereka. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Ereka Vetrini joins us now. You've seen her on TLC and, all kinds of channels, the Today Show, and, man, she's all over the place. And she joins us now. This is our continuing conversation about the kids going back to school. God love them. That's where they belong right now. But it's an adjustment not only for the kids, but for the parents as well, and that's what we're talking about, how to get this familiar ball rolling again. So, Ereka, and Eric's going to talk about some products that might be helpful to get this successful. So let's get started.
Yes.
Let's get started.
Yeah, we've had to kind of, it's back to those early mornings and those crazy back-to-school activities. Everyone's a little bit overwhelmed, but luckily I'm working with some great companies to offer us some solutions, and I want to start from the very top. When the kids are off to school and you're away, whether you're running an errand or whether you're at work, you always wish as a parent you had an extra set of eyes at home. Well, now you can. Wow. The Amazon Cloud Cam is an affordable and an easy-to-use home monitoring system that's going to give you a little bit of a peace of mind. So what the Amazon Cloud does is it allows you to always have a set of eyes at home when you're away. You can log onto their live stream on your computer or your mobile device or actually any device. and the app is actually free to download. You can also set notifications so that it'll alert you every time it's a text motion. So when the kids are coming back, coming and going from school, or when the pets are acting up, you can see what's going on. It's got a great night vision, and it also has a two-way talk, which I love. You can kind of, I'll talk to my kids through the camera and tell them to get started on their homework, or to clean their room, get their feet off the couch, all of that. So it's really a wonderful.
That's very cool. So then you can feel comfortable that your kids made it home safely and everything's good and continue your day. Very nice.
That's right.
All right. What else do you have? How about them eating and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've got a couple of those for you too, but I want to talk a little bit about routines for a moment here.
All right.
When we get back to school, I think we're always trying to streamline our routine, and it's super important. In the morning, my day doesn't start until I've had a cup of coffee, and there's zero time to sit and sip. So I started using the Chinette Comfort Cups. I love them. They hold 16 ounces of coffee. They fit into most of your single-serve coffee machines. They've got this easy fit, snap-and-go lid that allows you can kind of grab that cup of coffee with confidence and walk out that door. Know there's going to be no messes or any spills. It's also got this double layer of insulation, keeps your coffee really hot and your hands really cool. Makes my life a little easier so that I can focus on the kiddos. So I love that. And it's all along the same line of thought in streamlining routines. Half of my, I think, stress comes from keeping up with the mess that's caused by the kids coming in and out of the house, dragging dirt and mud all over my floors. I was so excited when I came across one tool to do it all. It's the Rejuvenate, Click, and Clean. I love it. This is going to speed clean all of your floor surfaces. I'm talking about tile. I'm talking about marble, hardwood floors, grout, you name it, it does it. And it gives it a professional-looking clean, which I love. It also has 2 disposable microfiber pads that can be washed up to 400 times. So that's going to save you time, and it's also great for the environment. Really lightweight, easy to use, as simple as click, clean, and go. Again, the focus is streamline the process, make it easy, so I can move on to the more important things. And then I know last, Ron, you were talking about food. My kids come back from school, and they're starving. It's like they've never eaten all day. So I'm always looking for really easy, stress-free snacks that I can make quickly, feed them, while I get to try to pull out what happened during the course of the day. Elio's Pizza and their new breadsticks are a great option, made from 100% real cheese. Takes only 15 minutes to heat up. Great option. And what I love, too, is Elio's is in their second year of, they're offering a $10,000 scholarship to a remarkable child. So if you log on to Elios.com, you can check out the Phenomenal Kids Scholarship Contest. And yes, they're awarding $10,000 to a remarkable kid. Sign your child up, and good luck.
Can I win? Because people say to me, I'm acting like a remarkable kid. Does that mean?
Is that what they say?
Yeah. Am I eligible, or is that a put down? I'm not too sure.
Are you ready to tell me your age so I can see if you qualify?
Mentally 6. These aren't mental awards.
It's really a wonderful thing that they're doing.
Okay, fine. It really is. It really is. Okay. Hey, these are some great suggestions, and hopefully some people will try these suggestions. Good talking to you, Ereka.
You too, Ron. Thanks so much for having me.
Let me ask you before you go, is there a place that we can visit to get more information again?
Absolutely. If you go to my website at erekavetrini.com and you click on Oh My Blog, which is my blog, all of this information will be right there.
There she is. Thank you so much today.
Thanks, Ron.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, we have professional truck drivers Don Logan and Bill Krouse with us, and we're going to learn about the importance of truck drivers. Of course, we all know how important that is. We know that basically the commerce of this country is through the trucking industry. Is that right?
Absolutely. You know, just in the state of Mass alone, there's over 10,000 trucking companies in your state alone. So, you know, it's a big deal across the country and definitely a big deal in Massachusetts.
Now, I know that there are various safety measures that have been put in place over the years.
I'm sorry, Ron, what was that?
The safety measures for both the people on the road and the drivers themselves. There have been a number of safety measures imposed.
Absolutely. There's new technology that's on the truck, that has been progressing through the years. Trucking has been very aggressive and adapting new safety technology to the trucks that help the driver out. So, and then the drivers themselves, our record is something that we're very proud of and something that we're constantly through continuous training and education, trying to get better every year.
Yeah. Are you actually in a truck right now?
No, we're standing at a YRC freight terminal in Columbus, Ohio, doing this interview.
All right. Sounds like you're on the road somewhere. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Truck drivers are very special people. It involves specialized training.
Yes, it does. When you become a truck driver, and we have a driver shortage right now. We're looking for young people to get involved in the trucking industry, and at this point, a lot of companies are getting their own schools together, paying for the training when you come to work for them. Usually, it's anywhere from a 4 to 8 to 12 week system, and also companies are involving giving you money to come to work for them.
Yeah.
Incentives to come to work for them. So it's very important that we get young people involved in the trucking industry at this time, because a lot of our baby boomers from World War II are retiring in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. And this is a profession that one does as a career. I mean, these are professional people that this is what they do. Let me ask you, as a professional, you're on the road more than pretty much any other industry. What kind of advice can you give to us people as drivers? What do you see the most that kind of makes you cringe when it comes to seeing passenger cars driving?
Well, absolutely, Ron. The biggest problem that we have on the road now is distracted driving, of course, with cell phones.
Yeah.
And from our elevated position in the truck, we see these cars when they pass us. We're looking right down into them, and
wow.
And it's pretty scary. Some of the amount of times that you see somebody texting or looking at that phone when they're passing you, but just in general, safety features operating around the truck. We want everybody to pass us on the left side.
Yeah.
And stay out of that big blind spot that's on the right side. Don't cut in front of us. When you're merging back over, make sure you get far enough ahead of us, because it takes a long time to stop that truck. It can weigh up to 80,000 pounds, so it takes a long time to get that truck slowed down. So we just want that safety cushion around us, and we want everybody to drive and safely and not distracted.
I think trucks should be treated like emergency vehicles. When you see a police car, an ambulance, you pull over. You don't have to do that for a truck, but you do have to respect the fact that this is a large vehicle, that it is on the road and it's doing what it's supposed to do. Give it space. Give certain allowances to these trucks. Treat them differently than other vehicles.
I would agree with you on that, and like I said, we really like you to pass us on the left. We don't want you to be intimidated by a truck.
Right.
Pass us on the left, and when you pass us, make sure that you look in your rearview mirror and see the whole unit first before you come back in the lane. That gives us enough distance in case something happens where you have to slam on the brakes.
Yes.
We have enough time to maneuver. So you just got to take a little time and effort around a truck, but if you do those proper things, everything will work out just fine.
Yeah, also, to give enough room for a truck to make a wide swing when it's going to be making a turn. I know I see in a very courteous sense, a lot of drivers will actually stop and yield to a truck turning because they need that space, especially turning into a lane where cars might be stopped at traffic light. Those cars should kind of pull over a little bit and make some room for that swing.
Absolutely, that would definitely help us out. The cities are obviously a lot of streets were built before the trucks were this long, so we have trouble getting around some corners, and if we definitely don't. That's another reason not to pass the truck on the right is you may be swinging left to get around that corner, and even the people that are the corner that the truck's going around, the people that are going to coming up there to turn left, if they can recognize what that truck's doing and and stop before they get completely into the intersection there. That's all very helpful to us.
I got to tell you, I'm very impressed because I see these large trucks pulling into very small loading docks and in very small alleyways, and they back in because they have to for unloading. And it's just amazing to me how they fit that truck into like what is a very narrow slot. Is like, how did you do that? When I basically can't even back my car into a space at a supermarket. I have to give that a few tries. It's actually remarkable what you do.
Well, it all does with practice. Once you start doing it, you do it over and over.
Yeah.
It gets easier and easier for you. So it's just like playing baseball. Once you swing that bat, you hit the ball, you're going to get better at it each and every time.
Well, I don't know. Doesn't work for me sex-wise, but I guess in theory that makes sense. Okay. All right. How can we get more information? Well, let me ask you first. We talked about how people have respect for the vehicle to give you plenty of space. Anything else you want to pass on to the public?
Well, we'd just like to take this, this is National Truck Driver Appreciation Week, so we'd just like to give a shout-out to the 3.5 million truck drivers across the country, these men and women that are delivering the goods that we need every day. If these trucks stopped running out there on the road, the economy would, come to a screeching halt within probably 5 days. So we just want to give a big thank you to not only the drivers, but everybody that's involved in the trucking industry that keeps America moving forward.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Where can we go to get more information?
You can go to gettrucking.com. www.gettrucking.com has a lot of information. And also, a lot of trucking companies are hiring. You just go to their website, and they have information on what terminals are hiring. You can go there and get information, too. So it's a very good time for the trucking industry, very busy. So we definitely would like to get some more people involved in trucking.
Okay, let me ask you a silly question, because this is kind of like a fable. Do you guys have hemorrhoids?
I'm sorry, Ron, what was that?
Did you guys get really sore on your behinds and, from the truck vibrating for such...
Oh, from driving so much?
Yeah.
No, I guess it's something, it's just like anything, you get accustomed to doing it, but I tell you what, it's really important for that driver, too, to not only stay physically fit when he's not in the truck, but every time that he's, that truck stops, you need to get out and walk around, get things limbered back up.
We guess so. Hey, great speaking to the both of you. You've been fun and also very informative, and the public should certainly be more aware, and it's not a bad career move. So thank you so much.
All right, Ron, thank you.
Thanks for having us, Ron. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, Ron.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. Rachel Beller joins us. She's a nutrition expert. She's an MS, RDN, and probably a lot of other letters after that, too. But that's sufficient for now. Kids are back in school, thank God, and that presents a number of challenges as far as eating healthy is concerned, because everything seems to be on the go now, that phrase on the go.
Absolutely. On the go, quick, easy, delicious, nutritious. Those are the key things that we're looking for. As a mother of four, I'm always struggling to find the right everything has to be quick and easy. And as a nutritionist, I really feel like if we have a few recipes that we can rely on that become our go-tos, that like no-brainer, it makes all the difference in the world. That's where I know my client is going to be compliant. They're going to be consistent with something that's good for them. So easy is key.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about what they call superfruits and superfoods. What exactly does that mean, super?
You're getting the most nutritional bang for your buck, for your bite, I should say. I apologize.
Well,
and that's too. We're just used to that. But really, that's where it's at. And so we look for foods that are really superior and powerful. And today I'm talking about acai, and Sambazon is one that really qualifies as that superfruit because it's one of the most versatile fruits, number one. So it goes with just about anything. It's the only fruit that is naturally low in sugar, has a very low glycemic. It's rich in omega-3s. It has antioxidants. Actually, Ron, I don't know if you know this, but it has more antioxidants than blueberries, which is amazing. And fiber. Fiber keeps you having long-lasting energy, and it helps prevent so many diseases. So it's a win. It's a win. And Sambazon, they're organic, non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free. The first company to introduce acai to the U.S. Fair trade organic, which is very important to me. So, again, bringing it back to ease and value and powering up your family and yourself.
Now, this company, what does that stand for? That's Sambazon. Does that mean something? They're the first ones that actually brought the acai berry they introduced it basically to the U.S. and interesting story. So I encourage everyone to visit Sambazon.com, and you can learn about the greatness and the creation, and it's a very interesting story. Okay. And I love how accessible it is for everyone. Now that's half the battle, is finding something incredibly healthy. The other half is to get people to say, "This is good. I like this." Yes,
that's, at least in my household, that's key. I mean, I've got they're picky, and what's beautiful also is the beauty. I mean, it's purple. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it's very appetizing. And, as a parent, knowing you're feeding your kids right and yourself, I'm taking part in this because it's a simple recipe. I'd love to share one with you, Ron.
Sure.
And again, think like 5 minutes or less.
Okay.
All you're doing is basically taking the Sambazon pack from your freezer, frozen mixed berries, a banana, a liquid. I like using almond milk or coconut milk, and you just blend it. Oh, that's it.
So it's a smoothie.
1, 2, 3. You're reaching into the freezer. You're grabbing some milk. You're throwing it in the blender. I don't even think, hardcore measurements. You just literally just blend it up, pour it into cups, put some straws, we're out the door. That's easy. And again, remember all that nutrition that we're packing in there, the omega-3s, the fiber, the antioxidants. These are all things that, at least in my house, my kids, they're not complaining that they're crashing before second period.
So does it have a natural sweetness to it?
Even though it doesn't have sugar, it does have a very smooth taste. Nice. It's like, think of it as like a hybrid between a blackberry and a raspberry with a hint of dark chocolate.
That works.
Yes. That and works. You can, there's an original that is a little sweeter, and then there's a pure unsweetened, which I use. And if one of my kids wants a touch of sweetness, I throw a date or a little bit of honey in there. It's really just that simple.
You're making me hungry now. Can I?
You gotta try it, Ron.
Well, all right. Can I pre-make a lot of it and then pour it out of a pitcher? Does it keep that way in the refrigerator?
It does keep pretty well. I do keep it for several hours. I take it to work, and sometimes I don't necessarily drink it all right away. It keeps very, very well, and there's so much versatility. Like, you can get creative. I make smoothie bowls half the time, and for that, you just put a little bit less liquid. I use 2 of the Sambazon packs. And a smoothie bowl. Ron, have you tried a smoothie bowl?
It sounds like a pudding kind of consistency, is it?
Oh. It's like a thicker smoothie. You just literally put it in a bowl, or you could put it in your to-go cup. Yeah. But promise me you'll try putting some toppings on it, because eating it with a spoon with the refreshing taste of the acai is like, it's magic. It's literally magic.
I promise you I will try it, although you have absolutely no way of checking to see if I actually did. But
I have faith in you, Ron.
That's what I wanted to hear. How do I get more information about this?
You go to Sambazon.com.
Let's
and Sambazon.
Good. Okay.
And it's all there, and it's delicious. But remember, I mean, it's literally buying the frozen packs, adding a cup of liquid, again, almond milk, coconut milk, whatever you want, a cup of berries, a banana, blend.
Beautiful.
That's your base. I say use your base. Then you can advance and get creative. You can add chia seeds, hemp, whatever you want.
Nice.
But the secret to success is that simplicity and just getting that part done.
Yep.
Once you experience the ease and the deliciousness, it's a win-win. You're going to keep going.
I can do this. And then, you know, if kids, kids should have it too, but I'm more interested in me. Anyway, okay,
It's all
fine.
good.
Okay, whatever. Rachel, thank you so much for the information. Interesting. I knew nothing about this. Now I do, so that makes it a good interview. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm glad I could empower you.
Okay, you take care.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. There you still with me? Hey, are you still with me? Okay. Another show coming up really soon, perhaps later today. You never know with this thing. Until then, I wish you peace.